Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Big Ten Mafia Show, part of the College Football Mafia. I am your host, Sergeant Pickles, and with me, as always, is the excellent Becky Go Huskies. How we doing, Becky?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. Got my winter hat on, as I told you guys, to insulate me from all the freezing cold takes being thrown around this weekend. And with me to go over the almighty butt whooping that was handed down by the Buckeyes is the equally fantastic Mr. Moen After Dark. How we doing, Moen?
Das Vidanya, Comrade Pickles.
Das Vidanya. Yes, Das Vidanya to the Volunteers as they trundle on back south. Their orange hopes and dreams dashed, but we will get there. We will get there. Appreciate everyone stopping in. We know it's a holiday week, so people might be busy doing things and such. Stopping off, Moen. Go Blue. I got to read the chat. I don't see any crazy stuff. Did root for Ohio State against Tennessee. Might even root for Notre Dame against Georgia. Clay Johansson breaking the mold on that one. I felt like even in death they would never root for Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't be telling any of your friends from Michigan that. They might pull your card.
Yeah, see, it's kind of like for me, I don't actively root for Oregon. I just consider it a result that has maybe a positive byproduct for the conference. Getting right in, Ryan Willie, Mr. Badger. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Helping keep the lights on during the holidays. Like to see Penn State, Ohio State play for the Natty. Watch the SEC and ESPN's heads explode. It already started a little bit last year with Washington, Michigan. They were trying to justify how Texas and Bama got screwed out of it.
I mean, it's back-to-back years with Big Ten teams in the national title game.
Yeah, that'd be a rough one. But if Alabama was in, they would have ran the table.
Which Alabama team? The one that won against Georgia, or the one that got smoked by Oklahoma?
They might as well be two different teams. Moen, real quick, would you take that right now? Penn State, Ohio State, and just let the game play out how it does?
I would love that simply because James Franklin is 1-10 against Ohio State. So I would take that matchup every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, Ryan Willie in a little bit of disagreement. He thinks that James Franklin finally exercises his Buckeye demons. But we'll see. I would sign up for that regardless of the result. The conference wins either way. And I don't have any particular animus to Ohio State or Penn State. So bring it on. I'm all for it.
Penn State or Ohio State's not ranked in the top 5, so we might actually win that one.
Maybe
it struggles against top 5 teams, not top 10 teams.
Yep. Friend of the show, Daniel Gygax. I believe the Big 12 Mafia show was not taking place this week due to the holiday, of course. I'm not sure if the boys plan on moving that later on or just doing the Friday show. Are you aware of our future programming, Moen?
I am not aware, but I would assume as it's Christmas Eve tomorrow, there will not be a Big 12 Mafia show this week.
Yeah, so I'd bet on that, everybody. And if you're interested, keep posted. They may or may not be doing a Friday show. Perhaps Daniel can clear that up for us. Taytown Hawk ad Astra, y'all. I don't get the reference. Perhaps something's going straight over my head on that one. Anybody get that?
Ad Astra, that's the I think that's the NASA.
Is it?
I believe that's with NASA, but I don't get the reference. So
I don't get the reference at all.
I
live under a rock.
Yeah, Taytown Hawk, you're gonna have to clear us up in chat on this one. We're a little bit clueless. Stephen Vitten, the fighting Ohio Bobcats with a win.
Ad Astra means to the stars, guys, in Latin.
Right.
So I think he's saying to the stars, y'all.
I never went to college and I can barely speak English, so appreciate you clearing that up. But Stephen Vitten, the fighting Ohio Bobcats, got the win in the G5 Champion Contender Series. So we just need to get that second game against whoever won the other game and have the ultimate G5 champion.
Hey, Max showed up today against the Mountain West, by the way.
They did.
Pac-12. I'll just call it the Pac-12.
Yeah. I did appreciate someone saying it was double-baked potato overtime in the Idaho Famous Potato Bowl, which NIU pulled it out. They were trailing a lot of the game. I got to watch part of this one. But their head coach got the infamous French fry Gatorade bath. It was pretty sweet.
By the way, the quarterback for Fresno State today, it was his first ever start. He was starting quarterback at Graham Kapowsin here in Washington State.
That is 10 miles from where I am sitting right.
What makes that interesting is that kid lit up Travis Hunter in a game between Graham Kapowsin and Travis Hunter's team from Georgia. He lit Travis Hunter up in that game.
Enough to beat the Heisman winner, but couldn't beat the fighting Huskies of Northern. Was it Indiana or Illinois? I always forget.
Illinois. Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. My apologies to the winners of the illustrious famous Potato Bowl. And a fellow Husky. I got to cheer for them a little bit.
Hey.
Shonsky's stopping in. How's everyone doing? Big Ten victories this past weekend. We will certainly touch on that. Could have been better. Could have been worse. So we will touch on that. But the playoff is shaping up to be pretty exciting down the stretch. Ricky Tungay, $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. Congrats to your Buckeyes. IU played like IU of old.
Well, we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. Yeah.
We'll get into it.
I think that'll be our first stop. We want to kind of start low and end on a high note. So unfortunately, we'll have to talk about the Friday game first. State motto of Kansas, ad astra.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I don't know how much space-related stuff takes place in Kansas, but you got some wide open skies and nice viewing of the stars. Have at it.
Oh, yeah, it's ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulties.
All right, then. You learn something new every day. Good fact-finding. For your next lazy Saturday watching Jeopardy, you can know some good stuff for that.
Yeah.
Daniel Gygax would sign up for PSU Ohio State just to see Feinbaum and Ohio turncoat Herb Street lose their poop. I think we all would. I mean, Feinbaum he'll die on that hill. And I kind of respect his consistency, despite how ridiculous it is. But, they're still riding the Georgia and Texas are bound to meet in the championship train. So
I only want to hear the three guests that always come on and just rant and have the epic rants if that happens.
Yeah.
A lot of guys in the South will lose their ever-living minds.
I will never understand the vitriol with which SEC fan bases have talking smack on each other. But then as soon as someone from outside pipes off, it's all SEC, and how great the collective we are. It is very bizarre. And I root for the Big Ten, but I'm not going to pretend like Ohio State winning is, somehow a impressive thing for Washington. They're still separate.
That little patch on the right, I don't really care about that little patch on the right.
It is what it is.
Just in the conference.
Yeah, Argraw mentioned and still waiting for Kirk to go off and why Tennessee shouldn't have been in. Wouldn't hold your breath, my friend. I really wouldn't. Maybe waiting never. I think never is the right answer. But moving on down to the Friday game with much anticipation, the battle for the Hoosier State unfortunately did not go the way of the Hoosiers. And I got to say, the score, I think, kind of lies a little bit in terms of the fact Notre Dame controlled this game, both sides of the ball in the trenches. It was a rough game for Indiana, and I think we all would have been okay with the result and kind of taking it on the chin. But Kurt Cignetti and his big talking, we don't lose to top 25 teams. He got in his own way on this one, and he kind of made himself look foolish because the two games against top 25 teams he's played, he has lost. Becky, what did you take away from this?
My first thing was the defense for Indiana was actually outstanding. I take away one 98-yard touchdown run, and they gave up less than 100 yards rushing.
Very true. There was one or two big plays in there that kind of skewed the stats.
Yeah, I mean, the long touchdown run and then a short field after the interception, which was stupid, throwing an interception right after you get an interception. But I digress. I don't know what they were doing, guys. You know what was really good what made them really great all year, and it made them even great against Ohio State.
In my mind, it was being kind of risky and going for it in critical moments.
Taking shots downfield, throwing the ball. They did not do that. It felt like It felt like Cignetti went to because he's from the Nick Saban coaching tree, and it felt like he went right into You could tell that their offensive coordinator was different this time. You could tell it's a different guy.
The only other than what he was saying, the one that really did it for me that I just kind of threw my hands up in the air was punting for it when he was down in the fourth.
Yeah.
I thought that was unacceptable.
Like, I get what he was saying. Our offense hadn't done anything. Our defense was playing well. Sorry, not sorry. You're down 2 scores. It's like the NFL now. The NFL would have to go for it in that situation. You got to go for it. Like, I know what you're saying. Like, you don't get the first down there. Notre Dame's got a short field. You have to take that risk. You have to take that chance. Nobody's going to sit here and question your coaching if you go for it. You might question the play call if it's a terrible play, but nobody's going to question like what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You got basically Notre Dame outcoached Cignetti, which hadn't happened all season. Even in the Ohio State game, Ohio State was just better.
Yeah.
This was not a situation in which Notre Dame was drastically better. Their game plan was better. He got outcoached. End of story. Like, he got outcoached, and whatever was going on offensively was just not right, Mullen. Not right.
Yeah, Shonsky echoing the same. Indiana looked completely lost at times. Mullen, I don't know. What could Cignetti have done differently other than his team executing?
Well, I think Becky nailed it. He was just happy to be nominated. He wasn't there to play to win. I think after the first Rourke interception, I just think he lost faith in his quarterback. And he tightened up. They played tight. It showed that they played tight. They couldn't get anything going. I mean, they did the one chuck play with Surratt, which actually worked, and then they just like gave up. They just essentially said, "Let's not get our doors blown off."
Yeah.
And it was a bummer to me because I know how well they can run the ball at times. Notre Dame does have a very stout defensive line. I just saw what I thought, okay, your quarterback's not playing as sharp as he normally does. You can get creative and have a game plan to adjust for things not going well. I just didn't see any adjustment whatsoever. They kept running it straight at him, and then asking Rourke to kind of just chuck it, 15 yards downfield, and he just wasn't accurate. I saw very little creativity in terms of offensive game plan, which I feel like we saw earlier in the year. I mean, they ran up the score on numerous teams.
They ran it up on everybody. Pickles.
By being creative and doing some really cool stuff and, moving the ball around. So,
yeah, the thing that stood out for me the most was the lack of separation the receivers got from Notre Dame's secondary. It was like, so when he was throwing the ball, guys, they're covered. Like they were covered. Like they're just covered. They're blanketed. When we watched them play Washington, who has a better pass defense than Notre Dame, they were getting open. They like schemed. They schemed it so that one guy could get wide open. I didn't see that this week. It felt very bland offensively. I didn't see, like you said, the creativity and the aggressiveness that we've seen from them all season. They just didn't do that. Like you said, I think you guys nailed it. I think Cignetti was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
But it's like, you got to win, Kurt. You got to win.
I believe someone's dog is quite unhappy in the background.
That is mine. He's whining because I refused to fill up his toy with treats.
He's just as unhappy about the Hoosier coaching decisions as we are from the sounds of it.
Well, sorry guys. He's a Pitbull Husky mix. He looks like Pitbull, act like Husky. So
perfect.
You get the whining.
Quick shout out to Skaven yes for stopping in. Hello, my friend. But we can move on from kind of a low point, moving on through the weekend. And we started off Saturday with a bang because whether you love him or hate him, James Franklin seems to win certain games that I don't get it. He loses big games that he should, but when he gets it right, he gets it right. And the Nittany Lions absolutely put a hurting on the SMU Mustangs. Moen, what'd you take? Is this a Franklin masterclass of coaching, or in my opinion, I think they were just athletically superior in multiple areas on the field?
I think a little bit of both. I think Penn State, James Franklin's good about winning the games he's supposed to win. It's just the tough matchups he has trouble with. But I mean, he did win a Rose Bowl just 2 years ago. So, I mean, it's not like James Franklin has a big game problem. The only real problem in his game is he struggles against Ohio State. But yeah, I think talent-wise, absolutely. SMU got outclassed at every position on offense, defense, special teams, coaching. There was really nowhere that SMU had any excellence in that game at all.
Yeah, the one that really stood out to me, SMU's quarterback with the interceptions, they were like, it's like he threw it straight to the defender. I have no idea what he was trying to do. It definitely seemed like he got scared. Like Abdul Carter's coming off the edge at you and hitting you every other play. You're starting to get the jitters and chucking it. And it's the reverse of Cignetti, where they should have adjusted and started calling easier, shorter routes for him or simpler plays. They just still had him chucking the ball, and it was not working out.
I'm sorry, but do you want to block the Big Ten Defense Player of the Year? Because he was unblocked a lot. Like, they just didn't account for him. I'm watching this game, and I even said in our chat, I was like, are they ever going to block the edge? It didn't matter. They weren't blocking one of the two edge rushers. I don't know I don't know what their game plan was.
Yeah, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year going to be probably a first-round pick, and you're just going to let him come free out the edge, or send a tiny running back to stop this dude. Like, no, it's not going to work out for you.
Like, I'll say it. Like, this is the best front seven in the playoff. Like, they had almost no chance at beating them. We all knew this was going to be the blowout that it was. But, I mean, you got to block the guys. Like, you know, you're doing your thing, and you're doing your thing. Like, you guys want to get into a track meet. That's what they want to do. Well, you had 58 yards rushing because you weren't going to outrush them. Eventually, they were going to wear on you. And then you threw for 195 passing yards, but you had 3 picks, 2 of which were taken to the house. Like, it was just a masterclass on defense. Like, you got outclassed. They have better athletes at every level of the defense. The only thing I'm struggling with right now is how piss poor the passing game was for Penn State. It was bad, guys. Bad. They had 136 yards passing on 14, going 14 of 25, throwing the ball.
Well, in their defense,
109 yards, but
yeah, in their defense, I mean, it wasn't great. I'm not going to pretend like they were just chucking it all over the yard, but I think Aller made the throws he needed to. It was typically short completion, but they got ahead to a point in the mid third quarter where they're burning clock. And I don't think it called for passing it down the field.
Look, it was 21-0 at halftime. If I take away the 2 pick sixes, it's a 7-0 ball game. They weren't good. They weren't good. And truth be told, SMU's run defense is actually pretty good, and they held their own for that first half. Like, they weren't running. Penn State did not run the ball well in the first half. Most of those yards came in the second half. When they started getting chunks, they just got chunk. But for the most part, I mean, I watched this game until the fourth quarter because I was like, well, it's out of hand. They're not going to win. But yeah, Penn State just dominated the line of scrimmage, and then when they finally leaned on it, they were just able to separate. But let's not act like Penn State was like amazing. They were not great at times. They didn't look great at times. I just thought they would have been a lot better throwing the ball. Like, that's actually SMU's problem. They don't cover well. So they exploited their one strength somehow, but they didn't throw the ball well, guys. Like, no, and I don't know how good I would feel if I were James Franklin going in to play a Boise team where if you get behind, they're just going to hand the ball off to the best running back in the country.
You know, here's the thing, and I watched this game to the fourth quarter too, but I watched it because I had the over, and I was waiting for SMU to just get another 4 points so I could hit the over. But the best thing about this game was, you want to talk about home field advantage, home game atmosphere? I think Penn State had the best home game atmosphere of any of the teams in the playoffs. It was just outstanding. They had the crowd mic'd. It was loud in there. The quarterback from SMU was constantly having to put his hands over his ear holes to try and hear his coach. Multiple timeouts had to be taken. Multiple false start penalties. that's another big part of it. I think that's a tough environment to go into. James Franklin, though, I think he'll be fine against Boise State. Again, I think it's the talent quotient. I think Penn State is just a more naturally gifted team at every position than SMU was or Boise State is. All they've got to do is stop Genty. If they can stop Genty, I don't know that Boise can score enough points to keep up.
I'm just like, we're talking about dominating here. Yeah, they scored a lot. I mean, it was 31 minutes to 29 minutes in time of possession in this game. Like, SMU had the ball a lot. But like Moen said, I mean, I'm not super concerned about the running game for Penn State, but the passing game has to be better because we all know what teams are going to do. They play a Georgia or Notre Dame or even a Boise State. They're gonna load the box, and they're gonna say, Drew Aller, you can't beat us until you prove that. You got to prove it. I mean, Ohio State did it to them. They're like, load the box. So SMU kind of loaded the box, and it burned them somehow. But I think that's, like Moen said, just better athletes everywhere. Better talent everywhere. So.
I think it's a good point, as you said, Mo, and you mentioned it. It seems pretty universal that everyone, despite the fact that all the home teams won pretty handily, the home atmospheres in the playoffs are special. And the fact we didn't have this before is kind of a travesty because having that home atmosphere, especially like Notre Dame, Indiana going into the game, I get the game played out differently. But just imagine that's a down-to-the-wire game with that level of atmosphere and true in-state rivalry in a playoff. That is like peak college football.
And remember, Penn State's student section was not as large as it normally is, but you could not tell.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell.
Yeah, I mean, Mo, and you can probably mention it as we talk about our next one, though, but I would say the rumors of Neyland North were perhaps greatly exaggerated as the Ohio State Buckeyes absolutely dog-walked Tennessee.
Yes.
Oh, and have at it.
This score is deceptive. This should have been 28-0 at one point. There was a terrible call where they did not call a defensive pass interference, and then they called an interception when the guy clearly came down out of bounds, in my opinion, which gave Tennessee their only momentum, really. But we heard about it all week leading up to this game. This was Neyland North. I will say I got reports from several people in Columbus on Friday night. Several Tennessee fans took over various locations, bars, gastropubs, you name it, and they didn't tip, which to me is just sacrilegious.
Not
you
good.
Can at least tip 15%, regardless if it's quote-unquote enemy territory. But then today, well, actually started yesterday, Sunday and Monday, we just kept hearing from Tennessee fans how awful Ohio State fans were, which just really, I have a hard time believing that you show up 30,000 deep and antagonize people all day, hurl slurs at them, and then get upset that one of them told your 5-year-old that there was no Santa Claus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You run to TikTok to do a crying video on it. So it upset you so much you had to get on your phone and go right to social media. I'm sorry, but they said that we were soft before this game. I have not met a softer fan base in Tennessee.
No, they're
Yeah.
soft.
There's something to be said for being gracious in victory and defeat, and I've had nothing but good interactions from all the Big Ten fan bases we've encountered. You talk a little crap, but you keep it above board. You keep it about football, etc. I mean, it kind of reeks of a fan base to me that knows they haven't won anything important in a really long time, like as of this millennium, because 1998 was their last really big win. I mean, come on, you're better than that. You're supposed to be the SEC. If you're really as good as you say you are, you don't have to run around telling everyone how good you are. You just are. But clearly, you were not, because you got absolutely housed, despite how many Tennessee fans came up and didn't tip well, et cetera, et cetera. you had the opportunity to put the SEC, narrative to bed that you guys can't travel and you only win in neutral site games or in the South. You had your shot, you blew it. I don't have a lot of sympathy for you. I'm sorry.
This is just a beating. I've seen some complete and utter throttlings before. This, they left. There's video of them leaving in the first quarter, outside the stadium. They're like, oh yeah, we lost.
I saw some videos before halftime. There was more than a few handfuls leaving.
I mean, yeah, there were 30,000 Tennessee fans in that stadium. And there was a lot of videos showing a lot of orange. But, it's still a 100,000 seat stadium. The only person I have beef with is an Ohio State fan that was wearing a shirt about Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Moen, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
Dolly Parton's a national treasure. You don't do that.
Listen, it was a low blow. I don't agree with the sentiment of the shirt. I don't believe the fan did either. But,
next level trash talk, though.
Listen. And let's be honest here. It's 42-17. In actuality, this game should be 42-10. Because at 7 garbage time points, they were playing against third and fourth string players.
I was going to say, did they have some walk-ons in there?
Yeah, they had some walk-ons too. That was basically our third and fourth string, and they still struggled to score that last touchdown. So if anybody had the worst loss, I think, of the playoffs, it was Tennessee. I mean, it's everybody expected SMU to get beat. I think a lot of people probably expected. I didn't. I took, of course, Indiana on the money line, but I expected, a lot of people expected Indiana to get beat. But Tennessee was, Nicole Auerbach, Heather Dinich, they were both saying this was a 50-50 game and a coin toss game to them. After
on
the coin
paper,
toss, it really wasn't a game, though, after the coin toss. So
yeah. I'll be honest, I picked Tennessee. I picked Tennessee, and I said last week, I don't trust Ryan Day. He hadn't shown anything for me to trust him in the playoffs. Well, and I forgot Chip Kelly's there. So, but no, truthfully, this is the number 6 versus number 17.
Yes, in the actual rankings.
The actual rankings, Ohio State was 6, Tennessee was 7. This was the one game that should have been close. It should have been the closest out of all 3 games or 4 games over the week. It's the one game I thought, okay, yeah, no, Tennessee legitimately could win this game because they're right on par. They're 7. They're right up. It's not a whole lot of separation between Oregon and Tennessee, I thought. Not a whole lot. Nope. There's a ton. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about Ohio State from this game. I think what we did learn was Ohio State was playing angry. I hope they carry that through the rest of the postseason because it's just going to get harder, obviously. Because now they got to travel across country in an old Pac-12 Big Ten showdown in the Rose Bowl. But, for them, just come out, play. Tennessee was completely outcoached, completely outplayed. And, on paper, guys, talent-wise, these 2 teams are fairly close. They both have 5-star players at every single level of the field. Both teams. There's 5-star kids everywhere. There's great transfers from the portal everywhere. It's this shouldn't have been. I'm struggling to figure out how it was 42-17 because it like you guys said, this should have been a pick'em. Moen betting the money line was smart. I
didn't bet the money line on Ohio State. Let me tell you what I did. I did a same game parlay 6 ways. I took Ohio State money line, Ohio State points, Ohio State over, and then I took 3 alternate overs as well. And Ohio State, even if Tennessee hadn't scored that last touchdown, I hit on all the alternate overs. $10 bet paid out $313, guys.
It's not bad.
Looks like Moen's buying.
Yeah. Well, cheers to that, Moen.
Yeah, cheers
having
to
that
that, buddy.
2-town cider, Cosmic Crisp apple cider.
Cheers to all my degenerate gambler friends out there. I'm not brave enough to bet, let alone bet on my own team, so good on you. Make sure you don't get into financial troubles betting on sports, people. That's my pickles.
Let me be clear. That's the only bet I won this weekend. That was the only bet I won. I lost $60 on the other ones.
So you're covering your losses.
Truthfully, you still ended up. So
yeah.
there's a positive.
I'm down for the year. Let's make that very clear. The house always wins, guys.
It's not your fault that James Franklin likes to leave his starters out there while up 28.
Quit while you're ahead. That's all advice I can give to people. Our Beaver friend Clint Moses, SEC Karen's playing the victim. Yeah, there was a lot of that. It's been well documented. Paul Feinbaum's on his usual tirade, but it seems like the national sentiment is turning on them a little bit. They've been saying this kind of stuff for a while. And roll tide roll real quick. I'm quite assuming an Alabama fan. SEC versus big conferences have a rivalry on the football field. This isn't new. No, but I mean, the SEC won a bunch of championships and they say we're the best, we're the SEC. And there wasn't really a ton everyone could say to refute them. I mean, proof was in the pudding. But the same way the SEC won all those championships, when you lose games, you got to eat the losses too. You don't get to just wave all your successes. Unlike Kirk Herbstreit, wins and losses matter. So real quick, also Clint Moses again. Good naps on the recliner, watching blowouts. Yeah, I mean, there's an upside to every game, win or lose, if it's close or not.
I mean, the Texas game was decent for a while.
Yeah,
pretty good.
We should go to mention that Texas took care of business. Home atmosphere in Texas, like Texas, if you love them or hate them, like that atmosphere in Austin when the team is good is amazing. It really is.
It is. I don't care though. Nothing beats playing Rocky Top at the end of that game.
Man.
On the loudspeakers. I was like, yeah, that's ultimate trolling Ohio State. I love it. And then Ohio State tweeting out after the game about like something about a football. It was directly to Tennessee. That was great.
Yeah. I will say I think Clemson, despite the fact it was 28-10 at half, Clemson, I think, fought back in the second half and kind of made a game of it, despite they weren't really in range of taking the lead or really challenging. But I saw a lot of fight out of Clemson. I think they gave Texas a run for their money, but Sark dialed it up. He had the game plan ready. He had the guys executing well. Is it Jadon Blue? I know his last name is Blue, but running back Jaden Blue for Texas. That dude's legit. He's really, really good running back.
He's a true freshman, I believe.
Red shirt. He should be a red shirt because he played against Washington in the Sugar Bowl last year.
Oh, that's right.
Shout out to Sugar Bowl champions. But he's really good. I was super impressed. Sark's big problem has always been consistency, and we'll see. He hasn't fared well when he leaves the comfy confines of Austin in big games. So we will see. We shall see. Real quick, Rickle Tungate. Do we have a pronunciation guide on that one?
It's actually Ricky. I've asked him twice before he's told me it's Ricky. So
right on. Well, Ricky Rickle Tungate should be 49-10 had they not had that INT. Yeah. I mean, garbage points are garbage points. It was the same thing with SMU in the Penn State game. I mean, I don't think that they're really thinking about gamblers and the spreads and stuff. At this point, with 3 games left in the playoff, you're going to pull starters. It's the right thing to do.
I mean, the Texas Clemson game ended up being 2 scores, but people forget that game was 31-24 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Clemson
was in the red zone to make it a 1-score game again, and they just had a turnover on downs.
Yep. Clemson fought back, and I think of the 4 losers, I think they put up the most respectable performance in defeat.
Yeah, it was a great game, and I think we all knew that one was going to be a little tighter, just because Dabo, again, talent everywhere on that roster for Clemson, but you give Dabo 2 weeks to prepare for you. They're going to come out ready to play. Like, it is hard to blow Clemson out. Not many teams have been able to do it over the years.
No, and Clemson's got the talent. Dabo's getting in the portal, so I don't think we've heard the last of the Clemson Tigers in coming years going into the playoff.
But
Klubnik is legit. There's receivers are legit for Clemson. They got some good stuff going for them.
They do. And I mean, like that with I think it was 11 minutes left, that 80-yard run or whatever that Blue had was that was it.
That was the backbreaker.
That was it. Just crushed them. Momentum.
That was Stone Cold hitting the stunner right there.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. And moving on forward, we get to the fun part, the controversial part, because in my opinion, these should be home sites as well. But We can talk about that until the cows come home with seeding and where they should be and who plays who and real rankings. It all needs to be fixed. We all know that, but there's no way that you're going to make everyone happy, which is why I think that I don't expect a ton of changes by next season. What do you guys think in terms of the 12-team format and who gets seeded where?
You're not going to see any changes.
Yeah. Looking at this, I actually like this lineup of bowls, though. The only thing is, though, I think there should be more flexibility on the bowls. That Texas-Arizona State game should be in the Cotton Bowl. It's just like it's in a Peach Bowl. Neither school has.
Why isn't it the Fiesta Bowl of all places? Like Ohio State, Oregon, Rose Bowl, Arizona State, Fiesta Bowl. Georgia's not playing in the Peach Bowl. Like, what are we doing here?
It's because Boise State is ranked number 3.
I know why. I just don't like it.
It's stupid, but listen, I can even get by with that because Boise State they played that game against Oklahoma. I believe that was the Fiesta Bowl. That great upset with the Statue of Liberty play.
Boise actually has 3 Fiesta Bowl championships, which for a G5 is crazy impressive.
Which is also the biggest trophy of all the trophies. The Fiesta Bowl trophy is.
Are you talking about physically largest?
Physically the largest trophy. It is. Google it. If you guys don't believe me, Google that thing. It is huge.
Huge. You forgot about the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the giant Pop-Tart.
Yeah, but that's a working toaster. That's the coolest. That's the coolest. No, the Fiesta Bowl trophy, it's huge.
But I mean, so we don't. I mean, I know there's an option for 14 teams, but I don't expect them to agree on it between now and then. Maybe if they want the extra TV viewership, but with how controversial these blowouts have been in the first round, I mean, I think we're just in agreement. We're going to see the same 12 team next year, or do you think they try and adjust it somehow? I guess like change seeding, maybe.
They're not going to adjust anything for a minute. Yeah. They need data. Remember, the guys that are like running this are people of academics. They want data. They're not going to use this. Would just this is just a small sample. They need full data. We're always like, we've talked about it all the time. Rock has put in our chat. Blowouts happen all the stupid time.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true.
It is inevitable. I can guarantee you 1 or 2 of these games are going to be blowouts. They always are. Every single year.
Or at least blowout. I don't know about blowouts because you kind of sifted the wheat from the chaff, but I would say non-competitive in the fourth quarter.
No. I am calling it right now. That Fiesta Bowl game, I don't think it's going to even be close.
Really? You think Texas is just going to crush them?
Not at all. I
Cam Scatabo, come on.
That's the Peach Bowl. No, I'm talking about the Fiesta Bowl.
See,
I don't think, and I'll even say this.
State.
I'll even say this. I don't think the Peach Bowl will be competitive either. Neither one of those games are going to be competitive. The only 2 that are really going to be great, the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. And watch me be completely wrong, and those are the 2 blowouts, and the other ones are completely, But I mean, like on paper, Boise State can't beat Penn State. On paper, Arizona State doesn't even belong on the field with Texas.
I mean, I'm in agreement. I think the Peach Bowl is going to be fun. Do we just call it the running back bowl because you got Jadon Blue and Cam Scatabo just hammering the rock all game? That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, yeah, like Texas has the best O-line out of all the teams.
Yeah, Roll Tide Roll pulling for his conference mate. Texas going to demolish ASU. I will say I have a little bit more faith in Arizona than it feels like some do. I'm not calling them to win the game. It just I have faith in them to at least keep it competitive into the fourth. I think maybe they lose by 10 to 14. I'm okay being wrong on that. I think they will be very underestimated. And I got to say it, Texas, this is a thing with you under Sark. In neutral site games, when the lights shine really, really bright, he has a tendency to not rise to the moment. He did it in the SEC championship. He did it 2 years back-to-back against Washington.
Well, I mean, they didn't beat Georgia earlier in the year either. That's one of both losses are to one team, Georgia. Outside of Georgia, nobody else is beating them. Like last year, they ran into Washington. That was a great Washington team, great quarterback play. This one. What is Texas's strength, guys? What is Texas's strength? It's their D line.
Yeah, still.
Good luck. They're still great on the D line. Good luck.
True.
I would load that box. And here's the thing: Arizona State does not have a reliable kicker. Not reliable. Like, they have a kicker, but I think my dog is more reliable than the kicker.
Moen, do you give the Sun Devils a fighting chance?
Well, listen, I know at the end of this weekend, everybody said all the favorites won. They tried to put it out there on ESPN that this proved that we just need an 8-team playoff. Don't buy that, because this is 1 year. It's the first year. Let's wait and see how it plays out next year, because I guarantee you at some point an underdog's going to win the first round matchup. At some year, a number 12 is going to beat a number 5. And if you actually look at these matchups, you're probably going to have 7 and 6 into one of the semifinals, and you could potentially have a number 8 against a number 4-5 in the other semifinal. So it's not like anybody can go in there and cakewalk this play. This is definitely something that I think we're going to have to see how it plays out. I do think that Ohio State game, that Oregon game, that is probably going to be the highest rated football game of the year, I think.
Well, we'll finish with that one because I got some thoughts about it for sure. Becky and I know this one well, but Daniel Gagai saying Seattle Denver Super Bowl is a total blowout. Yes, it was 43-8 at the end. Does that mean Denver didn't deserve their spot? No, they were actually the number 1 seed in the AFC. So results on the field matter, and I talking out both sides of your mouth by some of the people that wins matter if we think the teams they played are good, but if we don't think they're good, then they don't matter. You can't have it both ways. Either wins and losses matter or they don't.
Here's the thing. So let's say we didn't give automatic qualifiers to the champions of the conferences.
Yeah.
Other than not the bye. I mean, give them an automatic qualifier, top 5 rated, but not the bye. So we would have had Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State would all have been off. And here's what we would have had for games. And you guys tell me how this would have gone. Notre Dame, Clemson.
Good game.
All right, here we go. Ohio State, Arizona State.
Less good game.
All right. Then we would have gotten SMU, Tennessee. And then this is my favorite. It would have been Indiana, Boise State.
Nice.
We would actually, I don't think we see blowouts. I don't think we see a ton of blowouts. But that's why we saw blowouts. We ended up with the number 3 team in the country, according to the committee, playing the number 16 team, the number 4 team playing the number 10 team. Like, in reality, like it was an inevitability. Like, I'm sorry, but in order to make it work, if you want competitive games, then you have to look at how you're going to do this.
Yeah, and kind of some of the same thing like you're saying with seeding to all the people immediately. What did they say? Indiana has no top 25 wins. They haven't played anyone. They haven't beaten anyone. Guess who else didn't have a single top 25 win in the field? Texas. Yeah. So they would literally say that with a dead straight face. And I just wanted one. They never would because they'll work for ESPN. But one single person would be like, oh, Indiana doesn't have any top 25 wins. You mean like Texas? Oh, but Texas is blah, blah, blah. And they would just say some garbage. Texas played for their conference championship. You know, it's just I'm just sick of it. Like, either if you just want to pick the teams you think are the 12 best or your 12 best TV matchups, just do it before the season. I'm so over them trying to justify it to us.
I'm just going to say this out loud for the SEC folks in the back. Who would you have put in over Indiana? Who would you have put in over SMU?
Alabama. They're going to say Alabama.
Yeah. Oh, Alabama. Oh, they lost by 21 to 6-6 Oklahoma. They lost by 3 to what was it? Vanderbilt.
Andy.
Yeah. And then who else?
Yeah.
They lost one other game.
I believe Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Yep, Ole Miss beat. Now, who did Ole Miss beat? Because they were next in line. Who did Ole Miss? Oh, Ole Miss. Oh, that's right. They lost to Kentucky. 4-8 Kentucky.
Okay. I don't have the picture to put it up here, but I hope everyone got to see Joel Klatt absolutely body Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin's doing his thing and tweeting and moaning and complaining. Granted, this was before Tennessee got waxed. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Joel Klatt says, if your team played half as well as you tweet, you'd probably be in the playoff right now.
Yeah, because
oh my God.
Ole Miss lost to Florida and 4-8
LSU.
Kentucky and LSU. Now, LSU is 8-4.
Oh, but those are all great losses. Tough.
Oh, yeah, no, that's right.
Tough
You lost to 3 teams with a combined record of 19-17. Oh, yeah, by the way, Kentucky didn't beat anybody in their conference other than Ole Miss.
No, but Becky, you forgot the rules. Those don't count because this is.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If you lose in conference, it doesn't count.
Yeah, but they didn't beat a single Power 4 school.
Yeah, but keep in mind that LSU team lost to USC.
Yeah,
which is a mid-tier Big Ten team.
66 Big Ten school. Also, now let's get to South Carolina. Who did you beat?
Clemson.
Oh, cool! You beat Clemson, who
ACC champion.
It's a rival. It's a rival.
Yeah,
cool.
It's true, and it's literally it was one pass towards the end of the game that there was an interception that let South Carolina score.
Yes,
Clemson had that game in hand until he threw that pick.
Yeah. Then, what's your other claim to fame? You lost to Alabama, so I can't put you in over Alabama.
No, but it was a good loss. It's okay.
Wait. You also lost to Ole Miss. You didn't just lose to Ole Miss. Ole Miss beat you by 24.
Yeah, it's. The SEC did to what the Pac-12 did to each other for years and just eat their own and smack like all of their top teams would eat all their other top teams. But except for the Pac-12, where they just say, oh, it just means your whole conference is garbage. They still said, oh, it just means the SEC is just really deep and really good. All the teams are good in the SEC, even the ones that aren't going to make a bowl game.
See, so the only school I would even entertain any of that from, Miami. But they lost 2 of their last 3.
Yeah,
that's why you didn't hear them even bitch, piss, or moan. They're just like,
roll Tide, roll. Just to be clear to SEC fans, like Roll Tide, roll sitting out there, we're not just idly taking shots at the SEC. No. It's just that some of your fellow fans of your conference are writing checks with their mouths that their teams are not backing up. So that's why we're a little salty about it.
I'm not
100%. No, listen, Alabama fans can crow all day they want.
Yeah,
Alabama dominated for the last 20 years. They went to 75%, I think, of the 4-team CFP games. It's not Alabama fans. It's fans like Ole Miss fans chanting SEC. Ole Miss ain't won nothing. Tennessee fans chanting SEC. Ain't won nothing.
LSU, they have a couple.
They had Joe Burrow year. They had the Joe Burrow year.
They had Saban, which I guess that kind of counts. But yeah, it's the Floridas that haven't won since the mid-2000s. It's the Tennessees that haven't won in 2 decades. It's Ole Miss and South Carolina that haven't done anything in their own conference.
It's the Kentuckys, the Mississippi States, the Vanderbilts.
Yeah.
Should I go on about all the terrible teams?
Arkansas.
The Arkansas who are like, our conference is really good. No, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and LSU have been really good.
Yeah, and every conference has them. The Big Ten has Purdue. That's how it goes. There's got to be winners and losers.
The old Pac-12 had Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But I digress. We're this is all in good fun. We're trying to keep it above board here. We're encouraging fans of all.
I'm just saying it out loud. If you're going to have the vitriol toward SMU and Indiana, you need to bring that to Tennessee because, sorry, that's a 10-win SEC team. Those 9-win teams, I'd like to know how they were going to hang close, considering the 10-win team couldn't hang close. A 10-win team that beat Alabama, by the way.
That axe swings both ways, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Moen, I got to get your thoughts because to me, that one right down there at the bottom, that Sugar Bowl is a no-lose proposition for Mr. Moen. I think you win either way. What are your thoughts on that Sugar Bowl?
I think Notre Dame dominates this game.
Wow.
I do. Okay. I don't think the quarterback from Georgia has enough experience.
That is a big thing. I mean, Carson
now Notre Dame did lose their defensive edge today, their edge rusher, star guy. He did go down with an injury. He's out for the rest of the year. But I think Notre Dame's got enough talent. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think Notre Dame will dominate. I could see this being 27-16.
Yeah, I'm with Mullen on the quarterback situation. The quarterback situation for Georgia has me concerned. They're going to have to rely on their running game, which I think is going to play to Notre Dame's strength a little bit because they can now load the box up and just kind of like, okay, you can do that, but they're not going to trust him to they're not going to trust the quarterback to beat them throwing the football. I'm with Moan. I think 27-16 is probably how it's going to go. Like it's going to be I think it's a 2-possession, but only a 2-possession score because it's a late field goal or touchdown. Just kind of put it out of reach.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Notre Dame, I think it's a little closer. I understand the Georgia quarterback situation, but they're too deep at every position. Georgia's roster is absolutely stacked. Like their defense can still hang with anyone, despite the fact that the SEC championship was kind of a wonky game. They're still super talented. It wouldn't shock me if they pull off the upset, but they're going to need to lean on that defense quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, if Notre Dame loses, Moen, I mean, it kind of fuels the SEC narrative, but there's an upside to it. There's a silver lining to every cloud. Quickly here, roll, Tad, roll, popping in again. Bama's projected to lose 3 games, and that's what happened. You were certainly favored to win that Vanderbilt game, so I don't think you can get out of that one.
They were favored to win that Oklahoma game too.
Yeah, they were
yeah.
favored to win the Oklahoma game.
Yeah. So you're.
They're also favored to
games.
beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Bama. I mean, first-year coach after arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, definitely the most accomplished, and that's a hard act to follow. This isn't just sour grapes against DeBoer, but I'm kind of not shocked what happened this year.
No, I love DeBoer. I absolutely love DeBoer. I wasn't even angry that he left because I know why he left. He didn't get along with Troy Gannon.
And can I make a point here real quick, Pickles?
Absolutely.
I know the Bama guy might think we're just downing on the SEC. It's more about the narrative surrounding the SEC.
Yeah.
Because this year we were told that Indiana and SMU's wins didn't matter. And that the losses for Alabama shouldn't matter. But if you go back just a few years, there was a 2-loss Ohio State team that was dominant. But they had one screwy game against Purdue. The Spoilermakers beat them. That 2-loss team lost that 4th spot to the 1-loss Alabama team.
Yes.
Back then, ESPN was preaching that losses have to matter. Now they're preaching the opposite. So it's just the hypocrisy of the ESPN when it comes to their arguments surrounding the SEC that we're pointing out.
We could get into the argument about injuries mattering, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably
let's do that.
That's probably fair. It's definitely, I think, more about not so much the individual fans. It's more so about the media coverage and shilling for the SEC. It's like, look, they belong to ESPN, and you got to promote your product. We get it's a business. We understand how it works. But forgive the crude expression. My grandpa used to say this: don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining, okay? Like, this isn't my first year watching college football. If you think the SEC is really good because you want them in the playoff, cool, but don't give us a lot of bogus reasons as to why.
Right. You know what else, Pickles? You know who else ESPN owns? The ACC. And this is 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row they're pissing on the ACC's head. They blocked Florida State last year, and then they spent the good part of this year telling us why SMU and even Clemson did not belong.
It's funny. I mean, they'll sacrifice one property to promote the other. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just looking forward. It's why we wanted the bigger expanded playoff field, because despite the fact that people are going to argue about spot 13, there is way less room for, teams to just kind of get by in a 12-team field. You actually you have to win 3 games at minimum to win it all. So whoever wins this whole thing, even if it's an SEC team, I'm going to have no complaints about it.
I'm okay with it. I just don't understand where we're arguing about spot number 16 or 17.
Yeah, it'll never end. I mean, people still argue about who should get into March Madness, and the field is 68 teams. It's ridiculous. But I digress. Roll Tide roll. He's putting his prediction: Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State. Possible. Tough matchup for Georgia, but I think those other 3 are certainly their favorites to advance. I know the Oregon Ohio State thing is it's close, but we'll start real quick. We'll just cover the 2 Big Ten matchups. Whoa, that's my face. Don't want to see that. Nobody pays for that. The Fiesta Bowl, Penn State, Boise State. Penn State's heavy favorites, no doubt. Can Boise keep it close? Can Genty have success? Moen, what do you think?
No, because I think
Okay.
the defensive line and linebackers for Penn State are just too good. They're going to stack the box, and I just don't think Boise State can throw on Penn State. I
Gotcha.
just don't think they have enough talent to rely on their passing game.
Yeah. I mean, it's
my one retort to that is I understand it's the playoffs and it's a full season later, basically, but they played Oregon tough. They gave Oregon everything they could handle in that game.
They did. But Oregon's run defense isn't exactly like exalting sometimes. Sometimes it's on, like against Washington, look good. Against Penn State, not so much.
Yeah, I would say it's good, not great.
Yeah, it's a 10.5 point spread, guys. 10.5. I'm with them. I look, if Penn State gets a 2-score lead, what is Boise State going to be able to do? You can't run the ball when you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. It disappears.
Yeah. Boise can't afford to have this be a catch-up game.
They have to stay with them. This can't be a game. This has to be a game where they take the lead, hold the lead, maintain the lead, and continue to spread the lead. If the lead doesn't, if Boise State's not up at least 2 scores in the midway through the third, Penn State's going to win this game because Penn State's going to be able to throw the football. And I hate to say it, but Boise's not. They don't have the best athletes. Like they just don't. And that's why they lost to Oregon, because Oregon just had better athletes, especially on punt return. So I don't see the separation from the receivers. I don't see this is the best front seven. I keep saying it's the best front seven in the playoff. Boise State is about to get a huge dose of these guys. The blitz package that Penn State runs is absurd. I don't know if you guys watched that SMU game. They were confused, and that's why guys were left on block. It's just the blitz was crazy. Penn State, I'm saying it. Penn State's going to win this game by 24.
Boise were bigger underdogs when they played Oklahoma. We do have to note that. But different year, different situation. I get it. I'm not going to pretend. I have a fondness for Boise. I got friends and family that are alumni. They're our Pacific Northwest brethren, and everyone loves to see the upset pick. To me, this is a no-lose game. If Boise wins, it's super cool because upsets are what you love about college football, that the little guy can win sometimes. But if Penn State wins, looks good on the conference. So I do think Penn State wins it. Genty is amazing, but I think Penn State's going to put every single chip into the table in terms of stopping him. They're going to say, Boise, I dare you to do anything else and beat us.
I think they're going to get super physical with Genty, and they're going to get super physical.
Yeah.
Quick.
Could be chippy. Could be a chippy game.
It's going to be chippy at the beginning.
Real quick, line I said, not sure if any teams 13-16 would have done better than 9-12. Yeah. It's apples and oranges. We'll never know. I guess watch their non-CFP games, but people, even if an SEC team loses, I see this all the time. Oh, our guys sat out. Oh, our guys transferred. Oh, they didn't care about this game.
Everybody's got that.
It'll never end.
Everybody's got that now.
It'll never end. I don't want to go into a huge tirade about this. I've been dead set on 8 teams. I thought it was perfect, even in the 5 power conference era. Tony thinks 16 team, no buys, straight seeding. What do you think? Becky, are you in favor of 16 or just stick with what we got?
No, just stick with what we got. Just stick with what we got, but don't give automatic buys to conference champions. Give it to the best 4 teams and just let it run.
Moen, do you like the current format, or what tweaks do you think you would make that are at least plausible that you think they could make?
See, I was with you, Pickles. I liked 8, but after watching this first weekend of the 12 team, I like the 12 team. I like the campus games, first round.
Yeah.
I like the way they're seeded. I like that you get the auto buys go to conference championship winners. It makes the conference championship important still.
It does. I don't know. I think that first round games should be first and second round, but I understand they got to pay the bills and these big time bowls still want to be included. It kind of sucks because I think down the road, after we've done this for a few years, if you see the same teams kind of in the playoff over and over, those second round games are going to be really poorly attended because this first year it's a novelty and going to all of your team's games, heading toward a championship. But if you're, as the years go on, let's say you're Ohio State and you go to 4 straight playoffs, are you going to all 3 of those games all 4 years? Like, that's a lot of coin to swing for your average football fan.
By the way, if we did an 8-game schedule, the best way to keep it competitive for conference title games, you give home games to the 4 best conference champions. Because if you're still the number 2 team in the country and you have to travel, say, to Clemson to play Clemson, you should be able to beat them even if it's a road game. Just saying out loud.
I mean, it stands to reason, but thumbs up all the way around on the home playoffs. I think the 12 is good. It could use some tweaking, but it's not so broken that it's just like needs to be scrapped. I reject that idea completely.
Yeah.
But moving on to the granddaddy of them all, set as God intended, a former Pac-12 team versus a Big Ten team in the Rose Bowl. Moen, I don't care that it's the Ducks. This is peak college football to me. What do you think going into this game? The rematch that we thought might happen in the conference championship is in the granddaddy of them all.
Well, I think this, just like the first matchup, I think this will probably be one of the better games of the college football season.
Yeah.
I would like to make a suggestion to Oregon. Just wear the green and yellow uniforms, please.
Yes,
Let's
please.
make it a traditional Rose Bowl matchup.
They're supposed to be wearing the green apple.
That's okay. I'll take it.
Just wear the damn John Deere uniforms, Duck.
That's the one.
You don't need 50 uniforms every season. I'm surprised they don't do a costume change at halftime with all these uniforms.
Nice.
They probably could at the NCAA and let them.
They probably would. Nike would probably appreciate it too. But
by the way,
yeah.
Guess who's on the call for this game?
Herbie. Yeah. How do you like them apples? No, he'll just wax poetic about Oregon because they're a pseudo SEC team in the minds of advertisers.
And he's really angry still at his Ohio State Buckeyes for not reaching out and saying congratulations that his son has decided to play at their biggest rival.
Yeah, remember, it's a lunatic fringe. That's why Herbie had to leave Columbus and not any of the other rumors about his extracurricular activities. The Rose Bowl, but yeah, I think this is the best matchup of the playoffs.
It's so good. I love it.
This is so good.
And I think who wins this game is probably your national champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I have Texas. I'm still big on Texas. I really like Texas, but I think this is the game. The winner of this game. Winner of this game could be pretty much everybody in the field. I can't say that about the other games. I can't say that. I think this one's tough. You know what? The thing for me that stands out in this game, last time this game was a 1-point game, played in Autzen. Now it's a neutral site. Granted, it's Southern California, but it's a neutral site.
Yeah.
It's 100,000 people. I can guarantee you it's going to be like a 50-50 split. Oregon fans live and breathe for this game, and I don't know for this game.
I see a lot of Oregon fans that we follow online shelling out money for national championship as if they're like,
oh yeah. No, they're stupid enough to do that. But
I mean, I get it. I get it. If you're confident about your team, you wouldn't want to miss their chance at a first title. But I think this will be a lot of Ohio State fans. Like, it's the Rose Bowl, like the Rose Bowl.
No, it's going to be split. You'll see a lot of green and red. It's going to look very Christmassy. Like the Rose Bowl. It is a nice color contrast. We don't have the orange/red in the shoe was giving me a headache when they showed the crowd during that game. I'm just saying this out loud because not many people have realized this. Do you know how many natural fields Oregon has played on this year? It's the same number as their logo. They've been on turf all year. So for them, it's a big deal for them. You get them on grass. They're a little bit slower. Granted, they're fast, but they're going to be a little bit slower. I think it's going to minimize some of the things that they want to do, just a hair. Not a lot that you're like, oh, that's like, if it were pouring down rain and like a mud bog, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's going to favor Ohio State. I just think Ohio State is motivated more so than anything to win this game because they want that win. They want that game back because that's the one game that they had.
Yeah.
And I really and I really think they're playing very angry football after losing to Michigan because all they heard for what 2 weeks was, you're not good enough, you're not going to be great, blah 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 blah. And I know both teams are off right now, most likely, and have to be back on Thursday or Friday for practice or to get to California because they're going to fly out early. They always do for the events. I'm really liking Ohio State right now, and I think Ohio State's going to come out with a better game plan than they had last time. Again, Oregon struggles with teams with good front sevens. It's not, there's a reason why Penn State was really good against Oregon. That front seven play kind of kept them in it. I think you'll see some blitzes. I think as long as Howard does not turn into the Howard of Michigan or I dare say, I dare say the first game with Oregon, they'll be fine. I also think if they get in a situation again where he needs to get down, he's going to get down sooner. He's not going to take the extra 2-3 yards. Just get down, get that first down, and slide immediately. So.
Yeah. Moen, how you setting your parlay? How you breaking this one down for us?
I'm going to let it roll on Ohio State. I'm letting it roll. I like Ohio State in this game. I think Becky's 100% right. A lot of fans didn't show up for that playoff game at home. Some of that has to do with fan apathy. Some of that has to do with the fact that it's the holidays. Also, our students weren't on campus when our semester is already over. So I think you're going to see Ohio State fans travel pretty well. This probably will be a 50-50 game. And that team is fired up, and they've put the spark back in Buckeye Nation. So I'm all for it. Let's go Bucs.
I've not seen a more motivated team all season than this Ohio State team last week. I think they really sent a message last week more so than anything. You thought we were out of it because we laid a goose egg one time all year.
Yeah.
This is on paper, they're the two best teams. On paper, they're the two best teams.
Playing Ryan Day after his bugaboo game is a terrifying prospect. And not only that, so they get at home, they get to put down the SEC superior narrative. And now in the Rose Bowl, they get to avenge the loss from the year. The one that kind of got away from them in terms of they probably could have won it had they executed a little better. I'm really looking forward to it. This isn't even me as a Husky hating the Ducks. I really want Ohio State to win because it's a good redemption arc for Ryan Day. I'm not a noted Ryan Day hater. I'm pretty neutral on the guy. But I think Ohio State does have both teams, frankly, I think have the talent to win it all. So this to me is a Clash of Titans style matchup. Our friend Roll Tide Roll, Oregon has defensive issues. I think OSU doubles them up. Wow, he is much more bullish on the Buckeyes.
I'm not going to say they're going to double them up. I think they win by a score.
It'll be close. I think it's close.
I don't think it's going to be 32-31. I don't think this game's going to get about 25 because they're just both playing well. I'm just more when it comes to Oregon right now. Like I said, I think they're great. I think they're by far the best team in the country. They've proven that. I just think that Ohio State's playing with a chip on their shoulder. Oregon's had, almost a couple weeks off now. They're going to have another 12 days. They play this game in a week. It's good, Ohio State will be rested. They're not going to be banged up like they would have been had this game been this weekend. I'm not saying Ohio State's going to dominate. I'm not saying Oregon's going to run away with it. But what I am going to tell you guys is Oregon has shown at times this year their flaws, but nobody's been able to find it a second time. I think now there's enough tape that you can find the flaws and expose the flaws. Also, if Oregon loses this game, I'm going to say this out loud. Losing this game and not winning a national title this year may open up a can of worms we don't want to see. We don't want to see what Oregon may decide to do, bringing in guys now from the portal. They may go out and get the best portal guys they can buy to fix their holes.
Yeah.
This may not be something we want to see, but I'm all about Oregon being competitive in this game. Like I said, Moen's right. Like, Ohio State's playing for something right now, and Oregon
this is the one I think either team could win. I'm taking the Buckeyes, but man, Oregon has the capability to execute and take advantage of mistakes. They are very, very talented. Real quick, Big Lubbock repping his Big 12 brethren. ASU will win the Natty. I appreciate it. Stand up for your conference, and I'd love to see them upset Texas, but that is a tough hill to climb there on that one, even for Cam Scatabo bullying it into submission one run at a time. Lionite said, hate it for Moen, but thinks the Ducks win another close one.
Could see it happening.
It's possible. I think all of us will admit that's
Ryan
possible.
Day is 0-2 against Oregon. He lost to Cristobal and he lost to Lanning. So
he's got a reverse Kalen DeBoer going on right there.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll say this. If Oregon doesn't win a national title this year, I don't know when they'll ever win one. This is their best shot they've had in years.
I think the format makes it tougher than ever because know, even if you're the 1 seed, you got 3 games against tough opponents.
But again, it's like I said, it's their best shot. Like, this is their best team they've had. Duck fans will tell you this is the best team they've ever had. Well,
which I disagree. I think last year's.
I also thought last year's team was better. I think last year's team would run away with the national title this year. But I do think
either way,
I'm just like, you went out, you have a great secondary, you have a decent pass rush, but you get eaten up when teams run the ball at your smallish linebackers. Like, not every team's had success. I'll give credit where credit's due. They've been very good against some teams, but the teams that they've had success against defensively are teams that don't have good O-lines. But Ohio State's got a decent O-line.
Yep. Well, it will certainly be a big matchup. We got some other Big Ten Bowl games coming up this week. Watch them at your leisure. Looking forward to the Huskies in the Sun Bowl. I know the big one is the Rose Bowl from last year rematch, Michigan-Alabama, but guys aren't starting. Guys are ready for the draft. Like, it'll be a totally different deal. But we have other games to look forward to in round 2 of the playoff. Becky, what is your one for the road heading into the holiday week?
One for the road. So I just want to point this out. Northern Illinois today had a 20-play, 85-yard drive that took almost 12 minutes on the clock.
Oh.
They did not score. They turned it over on downs at the 1-yard line.
I saw this live. This was brutal.
I watched it live. I was like, oh, my God, this is taking forever.
Shout out to Sickos committee out there. That was like,
shout out to Sickos for actually putting it out there for everybody to see. But I watched it live, and I was like, oh, my God, how long have they been on the field? Just, this is college football. This is what bowl season is. New guys are getting a shot everywhere. New quarterback at Fresno State, never started before. We're having a new quarterback for Georgia. This is what bowl games are about. I don't care if you had opt-outs. I don't care if you had players transfer. I don't care. If your team is good, your backups are good. And that shows your depth of your program when your backups can come in and win games. So that's my one for the road. Shout out to the backups.
Shout out to the backups. Moen, what is your one for the road heading into the Rose Bowl?
1 round down, 2 more rounds to go. 3 if you include the championship game. I'm psyched. I'm happy for Ohio State. Glad to see them come out there and win big. I want to get some revenge. Can't play Michigan again this year, so let's go ahead and do the next best thing and get revenge on Oregon. And then we can go play Texas and go from there.
No better revenge than having a championship more recent than that team up north, right, Moen?
There you go.
My one for the road, I will admit I was not athletic in any sense of the word. I was a band kid. I was in drumline for many, many years. Shout out to this Ohio State band member. I believe, Moen, is it the best damn band in the land? Do I got that right?
The best damn band in the land. She is a senior. That will be her last home game. I will say this, Nicole Arbach, you sour-faced bitch. You took a shot at this kid on the Twitterverse, and then you reversed course and deleted it and didn't apologize. if you had any clash, you would come on Twitter and publicly apologize to her. This was, her last home game. She thought it was going to be the Michigan loss. She ended up getting a big win over an SEC team. So have the same amount of clash you had in dinging her instead of trying to delete it and run away from it and actually apologize to the young lady.
Yep, took the words out of my mouth for the last one in the road. But as a band person who has done this, who has lined up and knew that it was my last time stepping on the field for her, thankfully she'll get to see another game, but she didn't know that before playing Tennessee. But this is her last time doing the Script Ohio in the shoe. This is that'll be a memory that she'll remember forever. So to anyone hating on her and putting all those snarky jokes out there, there's tons of ways to talk crap about a fan base. Leave the band alone. They do cool stuff. Even bands for other teams. They're awesome. They're there to entertain you. Quit being jerks. And shout out to the best damn band in the land because they are put on some of the most incredible halftime shows I've ever seen.
Let me say this, though. Shout out to everybody but Ohio State for putting the away bands in no man's land up in the nosebleeds.
Hey,
no. Tennessee near the field.
No, did you see? No. Penn State put SMU in the rafters, basically. It was I
you ever
get
see
it.
Where Washington puts the band? You ever see where the Huskies put the band?
Yeah, the top of the
on the
deck.
roof, basically. Come on.
But see, that's all in.
Love it.
That's all in good fun, but quit taking shots at band members in their last moment on their home field. So that's my one for the road. Quick shout out. Thank you everyone for stopping by and chat, and Merry Christmas to everyone. We may or may not see you next Monday. That is yet to be determined. But until then, we appreciate you stopping by for the Big Ten Mafia show. We will see you next time.
I'm going to say bye.